So the Player's Handbook has been out for quite a while now, meaning most of us are done cherry picking the rules that we will follow and the rules we will ignore. And if you haven't, then you're probably a coward or a liar, and no one likes you. But with that being said, here's a few home rules to throw in your games. If any of the rules mentioned below you have already heard before, leave it in the comments where you heard it first. I'm not here to take anyone's rules, I'm just sharing the ones that I like to use. This first rule I like to call, ain't no way I'm paying 1,000 gold for a +1 rapier.
What?
Fucking hell. But for real though, personally I think that this is a tad too expensive, so I treat it kinda like a Souls game. The raw damage number just affects damage, while bypassing non-magical resistances is treated more like an enchantment or like an infusion. Not only do I make it cheaper to get a +1 to +3 weapon, but I also bump the cap to +5 for regular weapons, with legendary weapons being able to go up to a +6. The cost of course increases with each upgrade, as you can see right here. I don't know about you, but 1,600 gold for a +5 is a way better deal than 1,000 for a +1.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure that I made it as clear as possible. The weapon prices shown here are what it takes to upgrade a weapon from its previous to its next tier. If you wanted to just straight up buy a pre-upgraded weapon, the prices would look a little bit more like this, as well as, I don't believe I mentioned it, but a legendary weapon already starts at +5, and it takes 1,000 gold in order to upgrade it to +6. Just wanted to get that out the way. Want to make sure you know, because I don't believe I mentioned it. My bad.
As far as bypassing non-magical resistances, I treat it like an enchantment or infusion, similar to getting your weapon silvered, only a tad bit more expensive, since this doesn't stop at just lycanthropes. The price I throw out heavily depends on the setting, but it tends to be around 300 gold for a melee weapon, and 400 gold for like a string weapon like a bow or a crossbow or a firearm, since you're infusing the weapon and not just the ammo. Wait, so a level 20 character with a 20 in their damaging skill and proficiency in the weapon gets a +16 to hit with a minimum 17 damage per swing? Yeah. If by level 20 you're not one-shotting lesser enemies and leaving massive gashes in the greater ones, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And besides, as a DM, you can really just do this. It ain't that hard, bruh. But honestly, have y'all seen the alternative to spell slots in the book? It's called spell points, and it looks like this. I personally don't like running with spell slots, I find them a bit too limiting, but I don't like running with this little chart either. I find it a little too dumb, so I modified it slightly. Think of it as a simple mana bar. The cost of a spell is now based on its level, and upcasting it just increases the amount of mana cost to cast. Next, instead of following the chart right here, any spellcasting class that requires a long rest to recharge, like wizards and sorcerers, they get 8 mana points per level taken in that class. For example, a level 2 wizard would have 16 mana, while a level 1 wizard, level 1 fighter multiclass would only have 8. While every spellcasting class that requires a short rest, kinda like a warlock, only gets 4 mana per level. And this isn't just for spellcasters. All martials get the same kind of treatment with their resources as well, with a few exceptions. For example, soul knife rogues and psi warriors, 4 points per level. Monks with their focus, 4 ki per level. Wild shape, 4 per level. Then you get arcane tricksters and eldritch knights. Those, since those require long rests, they get 8 mana per level. Rage? I just give infinite charges of rage, since it genuinely doesn't make sense to me that you can have a limit on that kind of shit. Oh no, you were angry 2 times today. Looks like you can't be angry anymore until you take a nap. You must sit there and watch as I murder your friends. Well, that's a lot of spells. Wouldn't that make casters a bit OP and make encounters too easy? Trust me when I tell you, you're gonna need them, since the enemies I'll have you fight tend to do as much damage, with as many spells. And personally, I want to see magic flying across the field. For balancing, throw in more specialized enemies, enemies with immunities or high resistances. Teach the players that you can't just fireball your way out of everything. Our next rule is a lot simpler, I promise. It's called critical counter. Basically, when an NPC or a player rolls a nat 1 on an attack roll, not only do they miss, but the target also gets a free attack that is guaranteed to hit. Imagine quite literally just a parry rig post mechanic. I feel that for martials who make a ton of attacks per turn, this was a way better punishment for nat 1 than dropping your weapon. And it'll still work with ranged attacks. If you roll low enough with that longbow of yours, it'll be you with an arrow in the knee. Within reason, of course. If you're stealthed or outside of the enemy's range, then of course the attack won't automatically hit you. Actually, this one is from Pathfinder, but I modified it enough to include it in here. For those who don't know, in Pathfinder you land a critical hit if you score a 10 or more above your target's AC. So if your target's AC is 5, you can crit on a 15. We good? We good. I love this rule at base, but with level 5 players running around with plus 11 to hit, I had to modify it slightly. Now the amount required to crit changes depending on the target's base AC. So the lower the AC of the target, the bigger of a difference required in order to crit, needing to go 15 above the AC at the lowest and 3 above at the highest. Honestly, I love this rule. It makes rolling a 28 on an 18 AC enemy way more rewarding and a lot more fun, as well as it makes builds that rely on crit way more reliable. And finally, what's probably my biggest and yet simplest rule that I run with. I give both ability score increases and feats at the appropriate levels. Why? Because fuck you. That's why. As a player, this gets your builds to be better faster, since you don't have to wonder whether you want that ability score increase or that fee, since now you get both. And as the DM, this spike in power allows me to throw bigger monsters at you. And now we're all having fun, aren't we? Honestly, there's not much to say when it comes to this rule. I see it as more of a quality of life improvement rather than a base rule. But it's incredibly impactful when it comes to the players, so I figured I would throw it in here anyway. Honestly, if you made it this far, thank you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you'll use some of these rules in your games, or maybe these inspired you to make your own. After all that matters at the table is that you had fun. Balance and meta do not matter. Thank you for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you again.